Right, so hello everyone. Welcome back to the second stream today. For those watching this on Twitch, but for those watching this on YouTube or just anyone, welcome to the episode 16 of my podcast episode, The Eidolon Wall. And today we're going to be speaking about Terra from Kingdom Hearts. We're going to be speaking about what would have happened because we all know Terra's story. We all know Terra's story. We all know what happens to Terra. And so me and some of my friends are going to be speaking about what would happen if Terra had actually passed the mark of mastery. And
Almost all day.
today I've got three of my friends to come in with me and talk about Terra from Kingdom Hearts. Please say hello to them.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Buongiorno di giorno, as they say.
Okay, thank you. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining me for this as well. For anyone who doesn't know who they are, this is my friends T-Short, Kokiri, and Sora, and hopefully today we can do a nice discussion about what would have happened if Terra had actually passed the mark of mastery. And we all know the thing with Terra. People were aware of the story. He was one of the Wayfinder trio. He was an aspiring Keyblade master who was training to take the Mark of Mastery exam. And of course, we all know the story. Of he obviously failed the exam, and this led to Master Xehanort preying on him, preying on his weakness, his vulnerability, to manipulating him. But before we get into that, I would like to know what you guys think of what you guys first thought of Terra when you first saw him. So, let's start with you, Kokiri. What was your first thoughts of Terra when you first saw him?
Well, honestly, I can say that he was a bit relatable at first when I first played Birth by Sleep. I was like, okay, this guy's definitely got some pretty cool personality. But honestly, whenever you get when I first played through Birth by Sleep, honestly, you kind of feel for the guy, despite the fact that everything that he's gone through, dealing with that frustration and anger and the darkness inside his heart and feeling manipulated. Honestly, you really just feel for him. And honestly, I will never understand the hatred that people have towards Terra. Because, I totally get it. Yeah, people can say, yeah, he's a fool, he's stupid, he's an idiot because he got manipulated by Master Xehanort to do some of his dirty work and all that stuff. But honestly, to me, I will say this. I think he's a really interesting, well-written character throughout the series.
No, I would say he's definitely a well-written character. There's definitely a lot to him as well. A lot more, beneath the surface. What about you, T-Shaw? What was your first thoughts of Terra when you first saw him?
I did like Terra when I when I first saw him. Just that that he's a strong, dependable guy. He's very loyal to his master, his friends, of course, Master Ericus and his friends, and just would do anything to just uphold that trust and peace and just all that stuff. And like with what Kokiri said, it is relatable, just how we all have our own insecurities and darknesses and stuff. And I do appreciate the fact that technically speaking, the correct order to play Birth by Sleep is Terra first. Because you get to see his side and perspective of things first, just before anything else. Because if you just did Ventus's or Aqua's first, then he can come off as just a distant, cold, harsh, and just person as the story's gone on. But since technically it's first, it's just that he's misunderstood and that he's being manipulated, which honestly there are people who are like that prey on your weaknesses. And he feels just the most human. I mean, not to say that they all don't feel human, but just like in terms of just like something that may happen in the real world, that to me just stands out the most. And just how much I like Terra is just like, yeah, sure you can argue, oh, he shouldn't have been deceived, but at the same time, though, you have someone who's doing a masterful job at manipulating his emotions and feelings. So
Terra definitely had that whole like you said, the whole loyal, like it's like what Aqua says about him and Ven. You know, he would make the weirdest brother. They would make the weirdest brothers, but you know, you can see that him and Ven have that loyalty, that bond between them, and it shows a lot about what Terra's like as a character. So yeah, I get what you mean there. What about you, Sora? What was your first impressions of Terra?
So my first impressions of Terra have actually been the same ever since I saw him the first time. So my impression of Terra never changed. But even when I first saw Terra, I was like, "Oh my lord, he's actually a really cool character." Because like, at first, my first exposure to Birth by Sleep was actually the secret trailer after Kingdom Hearts 2, and you know, the one everyone thought was going to be Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I initially thought, okay, what is he just Riku again? But no, like, he goes through a similar struggle as Riku, but it's kind of its own thing, because like, you see Riku who's being manipulated by Maleficent, but Terra's being manipulated by Master Xehanort. Both of them fall to darkness, right? In a sense, but they are struggling with different insecurities, and that's kind of the key factor there, the insecurity part. And I still relate to Terra in some ways, because I have my own insecurities about things like y'all said.
Yeah.
And I've even had insecurities kind of preyed on in the past. Not going to talk about that.
That's fair.
So I think Terra really is the most relatable character even now.
Yeah, because there's definitely there's something that everyone can see in Terra. You know, like people who have made mistakes, people who have let people they've unintentionally let people convince them to do things that they shouldn't have done, or you know, they've listened to the wrong people. So yeah, it's definitely there's definitely a lot to relate with Terra. Yeah, it just goes to show that he is a character who that already, or like straight away he made a great impression on people. So let's start. But let's continue. Let's start with his story and that. So obviously we know him and Aqua. They go in the Mark of Mastery. They take part in it. Terra, of course, lets his darkness out for like a second. Like not even he doesn't even use it. It just appears and he quickly gets it in check. Unfortunately, this of course makes him fail the Mark of Mastery, because Master Ericus is very you have to keep the darkness in check. And of course this leads to that vulnerability in Terra that Master Xehanort then preys upon. He sees that vulnerability as okay, Terra, he just wants to be acknowledged that he has the strength and that he is holding back the darkness. And of course, Master Xehanort uses this against him, uses this to control him, to manipulate him. Which was something, of course, Master Xehanort is very good at. More so, I would say, more so than Maleficent, because Xehanort is just a master of manipulation. He's a master of the rhetoric, master of the words. And Terra, of course, he then goes on this adventure. He then goes on this venture to try and find Master Xehanort, to try and keep the worlds unstable, try and help to maintain the balance of the worlds. And of course, going for these adventures, he does do things that he normally wouldn't, because because of this need to be seen as a strong person by people of authority, like as a surrogate for Ericus. He listens to like Maleficent and takes Aurora's heart, for example. And he starts his descent into the darkness. He starts his descent into becoming more of Master Xehanort's pawn. But yeah, how would you guys what do you guys think about like Terra's the start of Terra's descent into the darkness? Like the things he's done, like taking Rora's heart and stuff like that. Like what do you think? Like what do you think like about about his general descent? Let's start with UT. What do you think about Terra's like descent into starting his beginning to his descent into darkness?
Honestly, I'd say that it is kind pretty normal in a sense that because sometimes in the heat of anything really, whether it's a competition or like an exam or just anything like that, it just sometimes emotions can play it can win over. And so him letting out the darkness just for that fraction of a second that he did, it's totally normal and natural for that. But just as he's just constantly just getting manipulated, it just kind of goes into his head, like, is he doing the right thing? And just again just plays into the human factor of that. And I think this might be a hot take. I think it's more well done than Riku's fall into darkness personally.
No, that's
because because although like no, you're good. Although like Riku had like his own insecurities and just his own darknesses to deal with. I feel like it was well, to be fair, they were both pretty sudden, but I don't know. Just me personally, I feel like Terra's was done a little bit better. Sure, you could argue like, oh, he's an adult, like he should know better. Like come on, man, you should realize that you're being played. But but when you have the people around you saying, oh, just give into it, it's totally natural. Just like that's that can just make anyone, and regardless of age, fall into that. So yeah, I think it was well done.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot more nuance than Riku's. Like Riku was more of a he's straight into the darkness and he thinks he's in control. But with Terra, it's that slow like grip into the darkness, like it's slowly creeping in despite that, and he doesn't even realize it. And then until when he does realize it, he realizes he's in too late. Like there's that growth. And then so yeah, Terra's was definitely a lot more nuanced. Being a Riku fanboy as much as I am, I definitely agree that his Terra's descent into darkness is definitely more like slow burn, kind of like nuanced, like the actual realistic of someone who's slowly doing bad, and it takes them slow, like they're slowly realizing it. But what about you, Kokiri? How do you feel about Terra's like the beginning of his descent into darkness in Birth by Sleep?
Honestly, it's kind of understandable, and honestly, I feel like that everything T-Shaw said definitely really like proved his point on like everything that we already know about Terra and his character. But having that sense of darkness, I mean, it's like I was saying at the start, it's very relatable because when you thoroughly think about it, like Terra's darkness in a lot of us can in, I guess you can say, in reality, just comes from people. Like it can occur like in terms of like jealousy or stuff like that. But in like a psychological term, it can honestly feel like our body kind of feels threatened in a way. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know this stuff pretty well. but honestly, what I'm getting at is it kind of felt a little bit similar to with Riku's situation, like back in the first Kingdom Hearts 1, where of course all this acceptance of darkness, and then just not accepting the Kingdom Key for himself, which is why it just moved on down the list and obviously chose Sora. But as far as like Terra's path, like with this whole of darkness and trying to understand it, you know, you gotta take back and you gotta think for a minute and remember what Master Erica said around the beginning. You know, what Master Erica said at the beginning of the game. He mentions about like darkness is something that can be channeled. And at the time, Terra did not know how to channel it, so he was still learning it. Like, of course, he was, he was in denial, thinking like, oh, I don't know why I have this, or, asking himself like the darkness, where'd it come from? But at the time, he didn't know how to channel it. So the numerous amount of times he interacted with characters, like the first encounter with Hades, he talked about, okay, well, darkness is all about this and that, and blah, 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 blah. But honestly, it's just it's a really interesting journey where you get to learn about more of Terra's character when he inherits so much darkness.
Yeah, Terra definitely gets put on on a journey in that, and yeah, there's definitely like a psychological aspect, like you said, like the jealousy in that, because he's quite jealous of Aqua, that she's able to control her darkness very well to the point where there doesn't even seem to be any darkness inside of her. Yeah, and there's definitely that sort of like that, that vulnerability that comes with it. What about you, Sora? What do you think about Terra's descent, like the start of his descent into darkness?
Personally, I have a similar outlook, but I also kind of have a bit of a unique, well, I shouldn't say unique, but a bit of a, I guess a bit of a different outlook on it, because, like, yes, jealousy toward Aqua played a huge factor in it, but I kind of look at it like this. Terra sees Ericus as his father. He literally says that toward the end, when he's fighting Xehanort, he literally said, was Ericus, no, my father, not enough for you? He sees Ericus as a father. And so the way he's looking at it is he's not getting the acknowledgement from his father that he's wanting.
Yeah.
That acknowledgement is going to someone else. And that right there is feeling the jealousy. So in that sense, it kind of feels the most natural in terms of the progression, at least to me. Because, like, with Riku's Descent to Darkness, it was a bit of a different case where, so they leave the islands, and then eventually he sees that Sora made other friends like Donald and Goofy and who knows who else. And he's constantly thinking, oh, Sora only cares about these other friends. He doesn't care about me or Kairi anymore, and blah, blah, blah. But, like, with Terra, he literally feels like he's being neglected and not acknowledged by the only father figure he really has.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels a bit more personal in that essence. Because, like, as someone who has kind of sort of struggled with that similar experience there, it really it hits home in a way that that other characters don't hit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's there's definitely a lot of like relatability with Terra. Like, I know, because obviously many people seek approval from, like, their parents or father, or just usually they do seek just seek that approval so they can just feel like they're doing something right. So no, I get what you mean there. And Terra definitely tries to seek Ericus's approval very, very much. But going back, we're going to go back to the Mark of Mastery now, where that pivotal moment, which that pivotal moment where that moment could very well change how the entirety of Kingdom Hearts goes, because if Ericus had instead said to Terra, okay, your darkness came out, but you quelled it straight away. You pushed it back. You kept it in check. You didn't let it control you. If Ericus had let Terra pass, despite that, and he saw how strong Terra, how much Terra fought to keep the darkness back. As soon as it appeared, straight away it's gone. And he named both Aqua and Terra the masters. it definitely could have been very. It definitely could have set things on a much different path because obviously, with the Unversed then appearing, and Terra passing the Mark of Mastery, Xehanort wouldn't have that vulnerability to exploit in Terra. He wouldn't be able to manipulate him because Terra had already gotten the approval. He wouldn't need to seek it from Master Xehanort. So Master Xehanort could, it is very, very likely that, and most likely that Xehanort would have lost a potential pawn. And things then may have even gone different with the worlds as well. Like Enchanted Dominion, Aurora wouldn't have lost. Aurora most likely wouldn't have lost her heart, because Terra wouldn't have that need to seek approval from authority figures. So he probably wouldn't listen to Maleficent. And then even go into Hollow Bastion and Radiant Garden, sorry, and just things definitely would have been a lot different. Like Terra would have, he wouldn't have listened to Master Xehanort. He wouldn't have going through the world doing slowly fall into darkness, trying to take Snow White's heart. But for those first few worlds, like those things that he did, how do you guys think it would have gone differently with those first few worlds that Terra then visited, and the things that he did and attempted to do? Let's start with you, Sora. What do you think? How do you think it would have gone differently? Like him taking Aurora's heart and trying to take Snow White's and all that. Like, how do you think it would have gone differently if he was a master? Sora?
I'm trying to come up with a response for that, actually.
No, do you want me to go to someone else?
No, I think I.
All right.
The way I kind of look at it, and I don't know if anybody would agree with me on this, but I think Terra might have, in a way, let it go to his head a little bit, if I'm being honest. Because, here's how I see it. We already discussed everything about Terra and how jealousy came into everything. Some of that was also because I don't think Terra rationally thinks about things the way he should. And I kind of feel like that irrational thinking would have gone to his head and influenced how he felt about winning the Mark of Mastery. And so it probably would have gone in a way like, oh, I'm a master now, so I can do this, I can do that. And it would have gone horribly wrong in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I can. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I pretty much am done.
But yeah, no, I can see your point. Yeah, Terra's not as calm as Aqua, so it most likely would have gone to his head. It would have, it would have gone to his head, and he probably would have let the authority, the power get to him. But what do you think, T? How do you think those first few worlds would have been different if Terra had been a master?
I feel like that it would have. I agree with Sora. Like Terra would have let it go to his head. But I also feel like in that same vein, I feel like he would have still had that same naivete.
Yeah.
Of those first few worlds, because just because again, I'm a Keyblade master. I can do just such and such or whatever. But I feel like there could still be some way, or some instances where he could still get manipulated, even if it's just slightly at this point.
Yeah.
He could just be like, oh yeah, you can even though you're a Keyblade master, you can still do these kind of a little bit of bad things. Sure, you might know a little bit better, but that's still that little lingering seed of doubt is planted into your head. So I feel like just naivete and just ego can play into that, even if it is at a small percentage.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Yeah, there's definitely because Terra definitely has a bit of an ego, and you can tell that with how hard he tries to keep up with Aqua, and just and how like he even holds himself to he's got that confidence, so it definitely comes with a bit of an ego with it. But what about you,
Yeah.
Kokiri? How would you think the Terra would have done as a Keyblade Master at the start?
Honestly, as like what T and Sora were saying, like if he were to be the person that was like, oh yeah, I'm a Keyblade Master now,
Mm.
you know, I honestly do feel like he honestly would have like kind of let that power kind of get to his head, because I feel like that so power is kind of like is like to me in my opinion like one of the key cores of channeling
Mm.
darkness.
Yeah.
And so now so like for example like if he did become like a certified Keyblade Master, he'd say, oh yes, now I can do this, now I could do that, and um and it's honestly kind of takes me back to one of the things that Erica says, like where after the end of the Marco Master exam, where he tells Terra where he's like Terra, like you mustn't be afraid of losing or whatever. So to me, I kind of felt like that was kind of like his hint, like saying like hey, like I know you don't like this, but the more you kind of like process more negative thoughts into your mind, then your darkness is going to start growing inside of you. And I feel like that's kind of like what about in Terra's mind, like in his original path, like the whole like it was like darkness and not too much negativity, but just a little bit kind of like got to him. But for the first few levels, like yeah, it would have let the power get in his head, but of course he would like be, I guess, be a bit aware of of Master Ericus's warnings and his teachings, because when you do think about it, like Ericus's teachings was like this: light is good, darkness bad. So to him, I feel like that he would just go forward with literally like the master teachings, like lightness, like light, good thing. Anything darkness, get rid of it. Even though technically we all knew that Ericus himself was a man who was afraid of darkness. Like that's why like in the original story, like he this whole power and channeling of darkness, like you got it. Like it kind of takes me back to that one sentence that Ericus actually shouted at towards both Master Xehanort and Terra, where he's like, "Has the darkness taken you?" So and so, So in other words, it's like has the darkness like taken over your mind?
Yeah.
But honestly, as what T was saying, there would be some naiveness in the way for the first few worlds of the game if things were a bit different.
Yeah, no, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, like, because Terra himself was, because he didn't, because him and Aqua, they didn't get out into the worlds. They weren't allowed to go out in the worlds. They were confined to the land of departure until they were, ready to go out, or until they were, they passed the mark of mastery and they were allowed to go out. They it was shown that they were strong enough and ready to face the darkness that was out there. So yeah, Terra definitely would have some naivety, I believe. Yeah, like you and Tisha said, you'd definitely be a bit more naive. Going off that vein as well. Sorry, was it?
I was gonna say, can I actually add on to that?
Yeah, go for it.
I actually came up with this whenever Tisha first brought up the naive thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Terra still wouldn't have been as aware of his master's teachings, because I feel like that naivety, I feel like Xehanort would have preyed on that.
Yeah.
And that's what that naivety and him preying on that would have eventually awakened darkness in him.
No, yeah, I definitely do, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the story would have taken a bit more of a dramatic turn in that sense, because it would have shown Terra going from a Keyblade Master to becoming naive, and then him falling from master rank.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that happening. Like, yeah, because that naivety could make the story still go the way that it does go. Um, Going off that vein though, what if Aqua, like, when he meets up with Ven and Aqua in Radiant Garden again, what if he had actually, what if him, this naivety and this both both him and Aqua are masters, so he just so he does, there's no need for him to be as jealous, because they both passed, they both proved they were good. Even with that naivety, I feel like he would be more inclined to listen to Aqua because they're both the same rank. They both have that, and they both have that same rank. There's no need for him to be as jealous as he was when he failed and she passed. Or at least, as we see in the story, the normal story, he does start to realize what he has done is wrong, especially after he strikes down Ericus. And with that as well, I do like, obviously Ven returns to land of departure and that. I do wonder about if would Terra striking down Ericus still happen if Terra was a master. If he had more of this, this need to actually be responsible now that he's a master. If he has this, if he he's gotten the approval from Ericus, and he just needs the calm-minded head of it. He needs to drop the naivety. I do wonder what would have happened if him and Ericus, if he had met with Ericus and Aaron, and or if he went back to Land of Departure and saw Ericus about to strike Ven down, would he have instead used Ericus' words against him? Like saying like, this is this is how the darkness enters your heart, by striking down a friend or something. Like what do you think, Okiri? How do you think because obviously, it's a pivotal moment for Terra striking down Ericus. How do you feel it would have gone differently if Terra was a Keyblade master, and he had that more, he didn't have as much, the darkness didn't have as much control over him, with his jealousy, because as we know, naivety isn't as bad as jealousy. But how would you feel that Ericus moment would have gone down differently?
Honestly, I honestly feel that maybe things could have gone a bit differently because, when we do think about it from the original story, it was about like how, like, of course, it was mostly based on the master's teachings, as I was saying earlier. Light is good, darkness equals bad. So any form of darkness, get rid of it.
Yeah.
And of course, we do feel like, so after the situation with Terra striking down Master Ericus, he had a lot of doubt in himself. He regretted everything that happened. Like, it even stayed in it, like in the Keyblade graveyard, like where Aqua's like, oh, I heard the Master was stricken down, and Terra was like, yeah, Xehanort set the whole thing up.
Yeah.
But at a point to where things could have been differently, like, for example, like think about this, like, what if actually was Master Xehanort who actually struck down Ericus instead of Terra? Like, that obviously would be a huge different story on its own, because like, he would definitely feel like there would be like a lot of sadness in his heart, and I feel like more of that darkness would just like be embraced further, like because it's like that one scene like before the Ericus battle where he's like, what have you done to my friend? And like, you have Ericus yelling at him like, has the darkness taken you, Terra?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like that, like, if Xehanort was the one who struck down Ericus, like, he could have like some more of that darkness could have been embraced even further. And like, it honestly would be something more as to what Master Xehanort seeks, because even before his fight in the Keyblade graveyard, like, more of that darkness comes out, and he just like, yes, more.
Yeah.
So like, the more, so of course Terra would just feel like anger and frustration of losing to somebody who is mostly considered a father.
Yeah.
So honestly, with Terra being able to like embrace more of that darkness, if that were to happen, that would be more of like a opportunity for Xehanort to like literally possess him and steal his heart.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see what you mean. Yeah, like watching his father figure be struck down in front of him and not being able to save him. That I think, yeah, that definitely would have maybe caused the darkness to enter his heart more because of that rage against Xehanort. You know, and there is the possibility that yeah, maybe he would have been able to maybe he would have been able to channel that into like. And you know, in not he maybe he would maybe he would have been able to channel that rage, you know, because as in memory of Ericus, maybe maybe he like because after all, Ericus, if he had passed the Mark of Mastery, if he had passed Mark of Mastery, it meant Ericus would have seen his potential. Ericus would have known that he believed in him, and it is quite possible. Like, yeah, it is possible that the darkness would enter more, but it could also be possible as well that Terra may have stopped to think. Hang on, Ericus made me a master because he knows that I can keep my darkness in check. He knows that I have the strength, and it could very well mean that Terra may not even give into the darkness. That may stop him from doing it. Remembering that Ericus believed in him. But what about you, Sora? How would you think the Ericus moment would have gone down differently?
So I'm not sure if y'all know this or not, and I'm only saying this because of Kokir's comment about Xehanort possibly being the one to strike Ericus down.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all caught on to this, but during that final moment, Xehanort actually is the one who strikes him dead. So here's how I view it, just knowing that.
Yeah.
I feel like Terra would have tried to do this in a bit more of a wise way. But part of the reason that fight happened is because of Ericus's own arrogance.
Yeah.
So I feel like while Terra still would have been like wise, the fight would have had to break out anyway.
Yeah.
Because Ericus being so arrogant and being all darkness, bad, light, good, blah blah blah. In that sense, I kind of feel like Ericus unintentionally, quote unquote, let darkness into his own heart anyway, just not realizing it.
Yeah.
But he was so arrogant and willing to take Ventus out because of Xehanort's plan. And in that moment, I feel like he would have got struck down by Xehanort. But because of how wise Terra would be in that situation, given the plot would play out the way that we're discussing,
yeah,
I feel like Terra would have immediately opposed Xehanort, and he would have immediately tried to strike him down right there. So we would have ended up having to fight Xehanort while the land of departure is basically being consumed.
Which...
And it would have been just big dramatic moment.
Oh yeah. Although I will admit that would have made for an epic boss fight, though. Just fighting while the land departure is coming down. That would have been actually a pretty epic boss fight.
That would have been so cool.
Oh, it would have. What about you, T? How do you think the Ericus moment would have gone differently with Terra's newfound, his wisdom of being a master and his, his potential belief that, that Ericus, believes in him and that? How do you think it would go differently?
Gosh, I'll be completely honest. I've been trying to come up with a scenario, but
it's all good.
Honestly, both Sora and Kokiri really nailed it on the head. I can't really I guess if I were to put my own twist on it, I think just maybe the events would still play out the same. Ericus goes in to strike Ventus, but then not because darkness is taking over, but because but not you know how he rushes in and blocks Ericus' strike to Ventus. I would think that wouldn't be done in like sort of just like darkness taking over, like
Mm.
what are you doing? Are you stupid or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
It would just be like, what are you like? What are you doing? This isn't the right thing. Like just
Yeah.
um, and I feel like I guess yeah, I feel like that it would maybe come to like a come to realization moment, like like, oh yeah, light has its imperfections as well,
Yeah.
but of course, like Xehanort wants to strike down Ericus, so I think like maybe during that moment, uh, and this is going off of Sora's scenario, is just like Xehanort still comes in anyway, strikes down
Yeah.
Ericus while guards are lowered, and just a big fight is ensued, and
Yeah.
Ventus runs away, and just so on and so forth. That's the only thing that I could think of.
No, that's
So
fair.
My lord.
Yeah, and yeah, I could definitely see it. Yeah, I could definitely see that a fight would have broken out either way. And with this, yeah, and with this situation of the fight, with Terra not embracing the darkness, but instead trying to like stop Ericus, like with this new wisdom as a master, he's trying to stop him, but not use the darkness. He has no need to use it. Yeah, I could definitely see. Yeah, like you guys mean the fight may play out differently. Like Terra may be trying to calm Ericus down instead of like striking him down or weaken him, and yeah, Xehanort would have struck him down anyway. But with this, I suppose it is possible to say as well that Terra may not have ended up joining Xehanort because of this. Like after he was he could see that he would see that he was getting through to Ericus maybe. Because as we know, Ericus, yeah, he obviously hates the darkness, but he obviously he loves Terra, and in that moment, like he was blinded by his, like Sora said, he was arrogant, but in that moment he was blinded by the fact that like he felt that Terra had betrayed him as well, and Terra had fallen to darkness as well. But if Terra hadn't fallen to darkness and instead was using his wisdom as a newfound master, like Sora said, it could very well potentially have gone differently, where Ericus didn't see Terra as lost. And maybe Terra might have been able to convince Ericus to stand down. With this though, with Xehanort still striking down Ericus though, because it's generally after that I think Terra does start to see that Xehanort isn't as he's not as good as he made Terra out to be. As Terra, he made himself out to be to Terra. You can start to see the doubt in Terra's mind. Like is following Xehanort the right choice? Is Master Xehanort is he the right one for me to listen to and to follow? And so I could definitely see him going against Xehanort and maybe not fighting him, maybe because he knows that he can't win, but maybe like I could see him following Ven. I almost said Zen then. Or I could see him following Ven and maybe finding Aqua, and and maybe they can they would end once he delivers the news of Ericus, it's very possible that they with his newfound wisdom and calmness, they could meet up. They'd probably meet at the Keyblade graveyard, and they would be more united, possibly. But before I go into that though, I do want to address the thing of how would giving the power of the Keyblade to Riku have changed? How would that have changed? What do you guys think that would change? Like, because obviously with Terra, he went to Destiny Islands because, like Aqua and Ven, he was lost on what he needed to do. It's very possible that even as a master, he's still lost on what he's to do. He's a newfound master. He's slowly losing this naivety. He's slowly realizing how the worlds work, or how how Xehanort operates. He's lost about Ericus, so he still goes to Destiny Island during that loss. How do you guys think the passing on to Keyblade onto Riku would have gone differently? Let's start with you, T. How do you think the bequeath ceremony would have gone? Do you think it still would have gone through, or do you think Terra would have not seen the point? Maybe.
I feel like it still would have gone through. Maybe it could have been like like let's say we're doing like we're still going with this hypothetical fight
Yeah.
with Xehanort, for example.
Mm.
It's a stalemate,
Yeah.
and Terra comes to realize he's lost on like just what he should do regarding light and darkness, who to listen to and what to stick with. And so I would imagine that he still just goes to Destiny Islands the same way and still gives the gives the Keyblade to Riku, and I guess gosh, I don't know. I'm trying to.
Do you want me to pass on to Sora or Kokiri, or?
I have it in my head. I'm just trying to formulate it into words. If that makes sense.
That's all good.
I would. I'd probably say like I don't know if this is like a confirmed thing or not, or if this is just kind of a thing that I came up with in my head. But in the original Birth by Sleep, when Terra bequeaths it to Riku, he also passes a little bit of darkness to him as well. Hence, Riku's Fall of the Darkness in the first game. But that could just be talking out of my ass. But just
that is not a confirmed thing. Just to answer your question.
Good theory though.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No.
Thank you, Sora. But I guess just in my mind, maybe Terra would probably pass along some of the knowledge to Riku, probably just being like, oh, there's more to light and darkness, I guess.
Yeah.
Just I think that's how it would go, really.
Yeah, no, I can see what you mean. Yeah, and that the passing on darkness thing. Yeah, that's actually a good theory as well. I actually like that, that he unintentionally passed along darkness, that darkness that's now like channeled through his keyblade as well, because it's he's used it to do dark acts. So I actually like that theory. That's actually an interesting theory. I do like that. Yeah, like, so you mean, yeah, it probably would have gone this, roughly the same, But yeah, like you said, he probably would have passed on this new wisdom, this new knowledge that he had gotten as a Keyblade Master. Maybe he would have told Riku, always, never just follow your heart, but always make sure that you know what you're doing is right, or follow your heart, but make sure you temper it with wisdom or something like that. Because obviously Terra did see himself in Riku, there's that. You can tell just by Terra's words and interactions that he did see some of himself in this young boy, even though he didn't fully understand the feeling of it. But what about you, Kokiri? How do you feel Terra past the bequeathing ceremony would have gone differently if Terra was a master?
How do you think? Honestly, in terms of the bequeathing, honestly, this is just me in my opinion. I feel like that I don't think that anything would change in terms of the bequeathing. It would honestly would be the same ceremony. Riku would have still been able to be himself and have some of that darkness that's honestly is within him. But honestly, for me, even whether Terra became a Keyblade Master or not, I feel like things would have possibly been the same. Especially if you wanted to go deeper from the beginning of Riku's character to now.
No,
but that's just me.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, it is very like we said, it is very possible that the bequeathing ceremony would have still gone the same. Terra being a master may not have been much of a difference. But what about you, Sora? How do you feel the bequeathing ceremony would have gone differently as Terra was a master?
The way I'm looking at it is, if Terra was a master in this situation, before he would try to bequeath the Keyblade to Riku, the way I would look at it is Terra would sit Riku down And before he even bequeaths the Keyblade, he would try to pass this knowledge on to him first and foremost, and basically give his knowledge of like the light and the darkness and what it takes and what it means to be a Keyblade Master. And then he would have Riku make a promise to him that he would never allow himself to fall to the darkness.
Yeah.
And then he would bequeath it. That's the way I view it.
No, I could see that. Yeah, like Terra, like, you know, obviously, you know, he's seen, you know, with all that he's seen, you know, his wisdom of a master, being a master, and the, you know, and, you know, the what happened to Ericus as well. Yeah, I can see Terra sitting Riku down and, you know, trying to say to him, you know, yeah, make sure you never fall to darkness. Promise me you never fall to darkness. Swear you never will. Because yeah, I could see that. Yeah, he would. But if he bequeaths the key to Riku, I could see that he would not want Riku to ever have to be put in a position where, or end up in a position where he ends up striking down a friend or something. So yeah, I definitely think. Yeah, I think going off what you guys answers, I think the bequeathing ceremony possibly would have been the same, but with slight differences. You know, Terra may have imparted some more wisdom and knowledge to Riku to help prevent him from falling to the darkness, maybe, or to help him, you know, better prepare to face his own darkness one day. So yeah, so that may very well that very well have changed it. Hell, that may have that itself may have even may even change Riku's path entirely as well. You know, maybe he wouldn't have fallen into the darkness, or maybe he, like Terra, he would have struggled but still kept on in his path. You know, like there's a lot it could have done that may have done differently if Terra maybe had been able to impart that knowledge onto him. And then going after the Destiny Islands bit, we obviously, you know, we obviously see you know, the trio meet at the Keyblade graveyard. They're all ready to face, you know, Master Xehanort and Vanitas. Now, of course, we all know that, you know, Terra fights Master Xehanort. And by the end of the fight, Terra does obviously lose his body because of his Xehanort controls the darkness inside of him. With everything that he's learned over his journey, you know, being a master and all the wisdom he's gained, you know, like, you know, the things that may or may not have gone differently. But with this newfound knowledge and wisdom, do you guys feel that Terra would have his heart would have not lost against Master Xehanort? Like, I'm not saying that maybe he wouldn't beat Master Xehanort, but I feel like his heart would have been stronger because of the, you know, the knowledge and the wisdom he's got as a master now. I feel that he wouldn't have lost his body, that he probably would have fought Master Xehanort to a stalemate, and then had to retreat to help Aqua fight Ven. But what do you guys think? We'll start with you, Kokiri. How do you feel the Master Xehanort fight would have gone differently? Do you feel Terra still would have lost his heart to darkness and to Master Xehanort?
I feel like that he's, like, honestly, regardless if he did become a Keyway Master or not, like in the original game.
Yeah.
Honestly, with just all that darkness that he has, like, inside with him, and of course, you know, still trying to, like, control it and trying to be able to channel it. You know, it's what caused Terra's downfall.
Yeah.
And even as a master, like, it honestly, like, he still definitely would have lost. You know, yeah, he would have succeeded in the fight, but then again, you know, and knowing the kind of person that he is, like having that all that darkness within him, he honestly would have still lost. Like, he honestly would have lost his heart, you know, to Master Xehanort, but his thoughts and his mind will still be in the armor, aka the Lingering Will.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Yeah, because obviously Xehanort was still, you know, he was still much better than Terra. He was still more experienced. You know, he still had more power. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see your point. Yeah, that he probably would still lose in that, just because there's still that lingering darkness. But yeah, what about you, T? How do you feel the Xehanort fight would have gone differently if Terra was a master and had this, you know, more knowledge and wisdom, and he was a bit more calm because of it? How do you think it would have gone down?
I still feel like that he would have lost anyways, just because I mean, as evidenced by the game itself,
Yeah.
just Terra's more so like kind of more like physically inclined. So yeah, he can overpower,
Yeah.
but I feel like that he can't outsmart Master Xehanort.
Mm.
So I feel like in that case, um, I don't feel like necessarily he would lose his body.
Yeah.
And become lingering will, but I still feel like that he would still lose to Master Xehanort just because he got outsmarted, and I feel like he would have done, or Master Xehanort would have done gone an alternative route. Like he could have still gotten the Keyblade and maybe just not necessarily took over Ventus, but had Vanitas just completely take over Ventus and just have that duo of darkness still prevail to an extent.
Yeah.
So while he would still put up a good fight, he would still lose is what I would say personally.
No, that's fair. I can see a point. Yeah, because Terra is definitely more of a brawn than over brains fighter, and he's very straightforward. So I can see what you mean. Yeah, and Master Xehanort is obviously very intelligent. So yeah, I can see what you mean. He definitely would outsmart Terra. And yeah, he definitely outsmart Terra. And yeah, like you said with Wing and Will, you don't believe he would lost his heart. And yeah, and that is obviously a major thing with Terra. His desire to set things right maintained itself in the armor. Like even the lingering will itself even says, I will set things right. I will set this right. He has that regret, he has that determination. If it's very possible, if he doesn't lose his heart, like you believe, it's very possible then that while he may lose against Xehanort, they may still be able to stop Xehanort at that point, because he may end up retreating. Because if he's not going to lose his heart, he may end up retreating if he's not struck down. But yeah, no, I think you definitely had brought up a good point that Master Xehanort is obviously more intelligent. He's more manipulative, he's more cunning, so he definitely would be able to outsmart Terra. But how do you feel, Sora? How do you feel the fight would have gone differently if Terra was a master and more calm and more more wise as a master?
Going off of what y'all said, I do feel like Xehanort. Hang on.
Oh, we're good. I think Sora's on mute for a bit. Okay. Well, while Sora's muted, I'll bring up a what if scenario while we wait for Sora to come back. Say obviously with this new wisdom and this wisdom and knowledge of being a master, and instead of giving into the darkness and the rage and that, now that he's got this wisdom and knowledge, what with this scenario, what if because obviously at the start, at this whole big fight, the graveyard fight, and that Terra is the first to rush ahead to Master Xehanort. He's the first to storm ahead. I want to pose a scenario to you is, what if Terra did not rush ahead, but instead worked with Aqua to take on Vanitas, who was seen as the bigger threat? Before that scenario, though, I obviously see Sora's back. Yeah, Sora, what are your thoughts on the Master Xehanort Terra fight if Terra was a master?
Yeah, sorry about that. My
good.
sister interrupted me. Going off of what y'all said about Master Xehanort outsmarting, I could see him doing that and Terra still losing the fight, but the way he would be outsmarted, I feel like Xehanort would purposely force Terra into a situation where he would have to either protect Aqua or Ventus, because he would purposely strike at them, forcing Terra to try to take the hit, and that hit would cause Terra to lose his body.
Yeah.
So Xehanort being the master manipulator, knowing how loyal Terra is to his friends, would use that against him.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see a point there. Yeah, Xehanort is not. He's proven that he's not afraid to to take the low path. To attack Ven or attack Aqua and make Terra make Terra have to like intervene and possibly put ends up inadvertently losing his body in that. So yeah, I definitely see that. That's definitely a potential scenario that Master Xehanort could potentially do. And what and yeah, even though I did set this while you're muted, but I'll give the scenario to you guys as well. This I want to pose the scenario of like I was saying, with this new calmness, this new wisdom as a master, Terra, what would you guys say if Terra had not rushed ahead like he did at that Keyblade graveyard? He was the first to rush into the fight. So how do you guys feel if he had, with that new calmness and that instead, with Aqua, he then decided he would then, attack Vanitas with Aqua maybe, or attack Braig with Aqua, or maybe Terra fighting Vanitas instead. How do you guys feel if Terra had not fought Master Xehanort at all? And instead helped out the others so they could all go against Master Xehanort as a trio. How do you guys feel what would happen if Terra did that? We'll start with you, Kokiri. How do you feel how do you feel that would have gone differently if Terra hadn't rushed ahead?
Honestly, things probably would have been a lot different in this case. I would have seen him more help out Aqua in this case. Instead of him fighting Ventus, because one thing we have to note is that Vanitas was created from like the darker part of Ventus's heart.
Yeah.
So and the whole point of like even having the Keyblade to be forged is to get both Ventus and Vanitas to both fight it out. So honestly, things would have been a bit different if Ventus was the one who was not fighting Vanitas, because the whole point of that fight was like this is the battle for Ventus's heart, because when the Keyblade got forged, it's like Vanitas says, the Keyblade has part of your heart too, idiot. If you destroy it, your heart will be damaged.
Yeah.
So honestly, in this case, like I feel like that with Terra's situation, like I honestly would see him helping out like Aqua more. Like it can probably be like a rematch fight.
Yeah.
Against Braig, kind of like in Radiant Garden.
Yeah.
Like I could honestly see him like instead of having Aqua fight Braig, let Terra fight Braig instead for like a rematch.
Yeah.
As part of like a payback for firing darkness shots at Braig, and even causing like having to wear that bandage on his eye.
Yeah.
So honestly, I could have seen that as like a possible like rematch like against Braig.
Yeah.
But more tougher and probably like a little bit stricter, like in comparison to like the Zigbar fight in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely see that. Yeah, like Terra may have gone for because we all know Master Xehanort. He's not the kind to rush in ahead. He'll wait. He'll wait patiently, and he'll like he's not really an aggressive fighter anymore. He's more of the hang back and use his smarts kind of fighter. Use his smarts kind of combatant. So yeah, no, I feel like I think he definitely would have like possibly gone for Braig, and then let Aqua deal with Vanitas, and then possibly once he defeated Braig in that rematch, like you said, he may go to help Aqua instead to help take on Vanitas instead of going straight for Master Xehanort. But what about you, Sora? How do you feel that would have all gone differently if Terra had not rushed in and instead chosen to help Aqua and then fight the others? How do you feel that would have gone down?
My thought process on this is literally the reverse of Kokiri's. I actually feel like he would have gone to help Ventus instead of Aqua.
Yeah.
And here's why. Presuming that our scenarios play out the way we're discussing, this will mean that Aqua and Terra are both masters, correct?
Yeah.
Ventus is obviously still in training. He's not a master. Plus, by this point, Terra knows what would happen if Vanitas and Ventus fought each other.
Yeah.
And the Keyblade would be forged.
Yeah.
That, on top of the fact that he views Ventus as a little brother. So, I think he would leave the fight with Brig up to Aqua, knowing she's a master.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would rush to Ventus's side to protect the little brother that he has,
Yeah.
in an attempt to stop the Keyblade from being forged.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah, like, he goes to help the more inexperienced member because he knows that, yeah, Aqua's a master. She's got this. She's proven that she can handle Braig, and obviously, Aqua is more of a match for Braig than Terra is anyway. Because obviously Terra, he had to use the power of darkness to beat Braig the first time. But with Aqua, she's more magic based. She could fight Braig from a distance. She's more agile. She could possibly, she's able to beat Braig using her magic. Something that Terra is obviously not as well versed in. But how do you feel, T, about this potential scenario? Like, what if Terra had not rushed straight away to fight Master Xehanort?
I'm honestly, I'm in agreement with Sora. Just like, yeah, he would have gone and protected Ventus.
Yeah.
And would have fought Vanitas. Just cause like going back to the whole whole thing with Ericus, like he literally rushed in to stop Ericus from striking Ventus down, and excuse me, and I feel like the same case would apply here.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe the fight against Vanitas would have gone probably better just because of how strong he is. Even though Vanitas is faster, I think with the wisdom that Terra has gotten, he probably would have been able to help strike down Vanitas. And not destroy like Ventus's heart.
Yeah,
I would say personally, and yeah, and like Sora said, Aqua can very, very much handle Braig, and he isn't so much worried about her because because Terra knows that she's more than capable to handle things on her own. So
yeah, no, yeah, I get what you mean. Like you both you and Sora said, yeah, it's very possible that he would have just let Aqua deal with Braig and then help Ven. And like you say, it combined, Ven's speed, Ven's speed combined with Terra's power, they would be able to overwhelm Vanitas, who had speed and power. Well, more so speed because of the Keyblade, the gliding on the Keyblade, the wave of Keyblades. But yeah, no, I definitely can see what you mean. Like, Ven could have, he could have matched Vanitas' speed and then, distracted Vanitas while Terra strikes at him. Maybe he definitely would have helped. He definitely would have helped Ven as a less experienced. And then the three of them could then potentially have teamed up against Master Xehanort. I doubt they would have won because he's still a master, but yeah, like things could have potentially still gone differently. Like if they managed to stop his plan at least, and he had to retreat, because again they wouldn't. I don't think they would be able to strike him down because he is still a lot more powerful than them. But going off this scenario that that he doesn't rush in to face Xehanort, which means he doesn't end up losing his body. Maybe like it's very possible he doesn't end up losing his body because Aqua and Ven would stop that from happening if in that case if they all teamed up. Going off by that scenario, how would you guys feel the Master Xehanort's plan would have gone? We'll make this the last question because to wrap up the podcast, and so it can encompass the rest of the story and like up to Kingdom Hearts 3 and that. How do you guys feel the story would have gone differently if they had all teamed up and made Master Xehanort retreat and prevented Terra from losing his body? I'll start with you, T-Shaw. How do you feel the rest of the story would have gone up to Kingdom Hearts 3? Like, obviously, you'd have to do all the events, just the main things. How do you think it would have gone if they had all teamed up against Master Xehanort?
Honestly, I feel like it could still potentially play out like kind of the same. Of course, like there won't be any Ansem or Ansem Seeker of Darkness or Xemnas because Terranor doesn't exist. But I still feel like Xehanort would attempt to try and get Vanitas back or to try and steal Terra's body. But going at the hypothetical that he doesn't, I feel like he would go and search for another Keyblade user that may have the same tendencies and quality as like our main line Terra. And so I feel like he would have just gone and searched for someone else while still assembling Organization 13. Granted, he would have had maybe a little bit more difficult time, but I feel like the events probably would have played out the same. Maybe Riku wouldn't have fallen to darkness as fast as he did in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then, like, of course, Organization still exists. Like, all of it still leads back to just what Kingdom Hearts 3 is, where it's just, you know, the real Organization 13 going against Master Xehanort and just all that stuff. I feel like it would have played out the same, but the time frame and the events leading up to it, and maybe some of the people that were involved, could be drastically different. And you would have the three of them, Terra, Aqua, and Ventus, you know, be training and potentially even seeking Master Xehanort to try and strike him down before he does summon Kingdom Hearts. And so that could be what they're doing in the off time, while also trying to find the other wielders of light. So that's what I think would ultimately happen. Just different events, different characters, different time, but still ultimately leading up to the same final conclusion.
No, I get that. I can definitely see that happening. Like, you know, like events still going on, but just different players, different pawns. You know, I could definitely see that. It's very possible that Master Xehanort may even just go after Riku himself and maybe try and, you know, lead Riku down the path of darkness a lot earlier, maybe, which could in turn still make Sora get the Keyblade because Riku fell to the darkness. So yeah, I get what you mean. There's definitely the players may still be, you know, maybe different. But what about you, Kokiri? How do you feel the rest of the story would have gone differently in this hypothetical scenario, where the Terra, Aqua, and Ven teamed up against Xehanort and made him retreat? How do you feel it would have gone differently?
I feel like things probably could have been differently, honestly. T-Shaw definitely made some interesting points, you know, but at the same time, you know, like, especially during, like, throughout the rest of the Xehanort saga, like, you can honestly see Master Xehanort trying to, like, you know, even, like, with or without Ansem or Xemnas, you know, like, he would have found somebody who could be his quote-unquote his next vessel, because, you know, it's kind of like similar to what happened, like, during the event during Drop Distance, where he wanted to acquire, you know, Sora, so that way he can definitely be like a potential vessel, or in this case to be Norded. So I feel like in this case he like after the retreating, he honestly would have found someone who can possibly take on the role of being the next vessel.
Yeah, I get that. So yeah, so you basically feel like it still would have gone like the same, like T-Shaw says, but just different players and that, like different pawns that he would use. I'm guessing. Then is that what I'm guessing that's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm definitely saying, like, you know, like, yeah, like he would have gone like he could have chosen somebody else for like a different vessel. Like he could have chosen, like, you know, maybe he would have continued on with Sora, or maybe he can choose Kyrie or somebody, but as long as it's someone who is who he's more interested in. Like in this case, almost anyone could possibly be Norded.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good point as well. Like, anyone who has even a hint of darkness has a potential to be Norted, and he may even end up getting a body stronger than Terra, for example, or it may be weaker than Terra. So yeah, things definitely could may just be different, with different people, but still go the same route. What about you, Sora? How do you feel it would have gone differently if they had teamed up against Xehanort instead?
I can see this going in 3 directions,
Nope.
and
We're going Legend Zelda.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
But no, y'all kind of touched on 2 of them already. Like Riku being a potential target. That's the one I was gonna say. Or I could also see Xehanort trying to get different vessels throughout the series. Like in Kingdom Hearts 1, he tries to go after Riku and he fails, and then in Kingdom Hearts 2, he goes after somebody else, so on and so forth. But my other scenario that I can see this as, I can see this as, I'm kind of piggybacking off of what I said earlier. I can still see it as all 3 of them teaming up against Xehanort, but then all of them getting overwhelmed and using that against them. I feel like Xehanort would try to either strike down Ventus or Aqua, more so Ventus.
Yeah.
And with him trying to do that, because of how overwhelmed they are from the fight, Terra would step in trying to defend Ventus, only to wind up struck down himself, causing his body to be taken over.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like you said earlier, there's still that possibility, that he would use, he would target one of them and make Terra have to like step in, and that is, as the only way he could do things, maybe the only way he could stop them. So I get what you mean. Yeah, that's definitely still the last kind of like last resort that maybe Xehanort could do to make his plan go to fruition, maybe. With that though as well, I could see that if that did happen, I could definitely see maybe like Ven and Aqua fighting along, like if in that scenario, if the lingering will still gets made because Terra still thinks that he needs to set it right, or maybe he's still got that lingering will to protect his friends. It could very well mean that Aqua and Ven team up with the lingering will to maybe push back Xehanort, maybe, or or push back the new Terra Nort, and the final episode may not even happen because if Terra loses his body, but that both Aqua and Ven are Ven's still awake. Aqua's like she's not as she's not in as much of a bad position now that she's got at least someone to help her fight in that. But no, I get what you mean. Like Xehanort would still potentially like use their like closeness against them, their bonds against them. But to wrap up the podcast, I know I said that was the last question, but one last hypothetical for you guys before we wrap it up. Say that they did manage to at least make Xehanort retreat, or he's unable to take Terra's body because of the interference of Ven and Aqua, maybe. Do you guys think that Terra would have been the one to take over the Land of Departure? Well, no, because the Land of Departure's gone. Do you think Terra would have been the one to take over the Mark of Mastery exam under the tutelage of Yen Sid, or alongside Yen Sid, as a replacement for Ericus? Or do you feel that do you feel that Aqua would have like how would you guys feel that how do you guys feel Terra would have contributed to the Mark of Mastery that Riku and Sora end up going through? Let's start with you, Sora. How do you feel that the Sora and Riku's Mark of Mastery would have gone differently with now that the Wayfinder trio are actually still there and they don't need to find them?
Just given what I know about the Land of Departure, because like after its quote unquote destruction, in the actual game, we see that a lot of it is still there. Just it's mostly in ruins.
Yeah,
but Aqua knew the secret to basically rebuilding it and transforming it into Castle Oblivion. So what I think would happen is, provided that Terra actually passed the Mark of Mastery, him and Aqua would both know that secret.
Yeah.
So what I think they would do is go back to the land of departure and then use that secret to transform it into Castle Oblivion.
Mm.
And when it came time for Riku and Sora's Mark of Mastery exam, they would take it there in Castle Oblivion.
Yeah. Of course, the only issue with that is, of course, the Castle Oblivion's the problem with Castle Oblivion, because I don't think it was ever was it ever actually proven how Castle Oblivion's thing works? Like, the to lose is to find. Like, was that because of the organization, or was that because of Castle Oblivion itself? I don't think it was ever mentioned, was it?
That was part of the thing because of Master Ericus.
Ah.
No, that's not it. The whole find is to lose is to find. What that is, he's referring to the memories that Sora loses and the new memories that he gains.
Yeah.
But it was proven that the reason for that was actually because of Naminé manipulating his memories. So in this case, Naminé wouldn't be there to manipulate his memories.
Sorry, headphones went off.
You're good.
But yes, as you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So because since Naminé was the one influencing his memories in that instance, she wouldn't be there this time around.
Yeah.
Because the organization wouldn't have any influence over it. They wouldn't be able to use it as a second base, and so Naminé wouldn't be held there.
Yeah.
So that means the whole to find is to lose is to find thing wouldn't even happen.
Yeah.
Because Terra, Ventus, and Aqua would all be watching over Castle Oblivion. And so Chain of Memories would have played out very differently, or probably wouldn't have happened.
No, yeah, I could definitely see them using Castle Oblivion, because it's and with Castle Oblivion, it's also it's in between. If I remember right, it's in between the worlds of light and dark, isn't it? It's not like it's in kind of the balanced kind of area, isn't it? If I remember right, like the in between.
You are remembering that correctly, because that's where the land of departure itself was also at.
Yeah, like with Destiny Islands, it was also in between, apparently, from what I hear, or at least no, I'm thinking Traverse Town. But no, with where Castle Oblivion was, it would have been a good place to train the new ones. But how do you feel, Kokiri, about that? Do you feel how do you feel about how Terra and the Wayfinder trio would have gone into the Mark of Mastery for Sora and Riku? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, Sora kind of said everything I kind of want to said, even though I made a bit of a mistake.
Nah, it's all good. We all do.
But yeah, I'm honestly I do agree with Sora. Like things could have been different. Like Terra also could have been the one who knew the secret of changing the land of departure into Castle Oblivion, and him and Aqua could have been the ones who have been taking charge of Castle Oblivion rather than the organization having it as a second base. So that's not so, but I think Sora kind of said everything I wanted to say.
Nah, that's fair. Again. Yeah, that's fair. I think Sora pretty much covered it for Kokiri then. What about you, team?
I just gotta be honest too. Yeah, he covered it for me too.
Fair enough.
I can't think of anything else other than just maybe working with Yen Sid or Merlin or just whomever else. Just closer. I don't know. I think Sora really just hit it right on the head. So
yeah, no, that's understandable. I definitely feel like with Yen Sid would help. Maybe would help Terra with the wisdom he should know as a master. He'd probably help him get a bit more wise, get a bit more calm. I could definitely see Yen Sid doing that. But yeah, I think that wraps up the podcast episode. I think is there any other points you guys want to say about, or have you guys all covered it? Obviously, sorry, go for it.
I was just gonna say I think I pretty much said everything I can think of.
Yeah,
same here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think we definitely covered a lot of it. Then it definitely shows that Terra's Mark of Mastery, him passing or him failing, it's definitely a potential pivotal point in the series, depending on how you look at it, the hypotheticals that could the possibilities of what could happen, how things could play out. It definitely shows that it's a definitely pivotal moment. and it's a moment that really, you know, it's like a linchpin moment that really changes. It really changes Terra's character depending on, like, you know, how it potentially goes out, how it potentially progresses. You know, with even the main story potentially changing, vastly changing. But yeah, it definitely shows that there's a lot more to Terra's Mark of Mastery. That, you know, that there, you know, that you know, more there's more depth to it, than more potential than we know of. But yeah, I think that should wrap it up. Once again, I want to thank you guys for joining me for this. It's been, I think we've definitely discussed a lot and covered a lot with Terra. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining me.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks for
inviting
inviting
us.
us.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
thanks for having us.
Jake's, you owe me a donut.
Yeah, you owe
Squat.
you owe me a Wendy's. But
Hey, I had that for lunch.
hey, but yes, to everyone on YouTube, thank you for watching me. Thank you for watching this. I hope you guys will like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and you know, and you look for, and if you're looking forward to more more podcast episodes. But yeah, once again, guys, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, and again, thank you, my guests for joining, and see you guys in the next video. Take care everywhere, and everyone, and thank you for watching.